Greetings and salutations. I am Jeremy Tank, and if you are watching this, I am your brand guy. Congratulations. What does that mean? That means you've got someone on your side, in your corner, to help educate you, teach you, and guide you down your own path for your brand, your personal brand, your business, your concept, your idea, your event. Like, what is a brand? A brand is pretty much anything. It's an idea, right? And I'm just a guy who helps people develop their ideas. You know, Gary Vaynerchuk says that there are 5 basic people that you need when you are building your business, building your identity, building your brand, building your life, right? You need you need you, which is the person with the idea, the vision. You need somebody with accounting kind of knowledge, so whatever that looks like, the finance guy. You need a marketing guy, because somebody who knows how to actually like work the systems as we've broken them, fixed them, made them up out there. You need a sales guy, somebody who can actually like talk to people in a reasonable way and show them how your service, your whatever, helps them complete their life. Really, that's what sales is all about. Helping people understand that what you are doing for them, with them, helps them complete their life, helps them get out of a stagnancy, out of pain, into a state of, I mean, really, that's, most of us are here trying to help others, and sales is the process of education so that others can be helped. And then really, the last one is the creative guy. Somebody who talks to all of the others, brings them all together in a group and says, okay, I hear what you're saying. Here is a great way to tackle that. Here's how we might really everybody get in on what you need, and here's how we can share it with the world. And that's what I do. I am the creative guy. I am that guy that listens to everyone, brings groups together, unifies thoughts, unifies vision, unifies intent, and helps create. You know, it's not even create a path, because it's everybody else there that creates the path. My job is to facilitate the steps, listening, synthesizing, merging, combining, remixing, in ways that are exciting and fun so that others benefit. Your business benefits, your brand benefits, your products benefit, your service benefits. There's so many different things when we look at this from a creative standpoint that benefit. Instead of somebody saying, this is the vision, this is the path, this is how we have to do things, bring it together. A team like this really is about finding unity in the division, finding a common truth, a common source, a common path, and helping each other stick to that path. And creativity, you know, creativity, especially from my point of view, right? If you've listened to me for a while, you're like, oh, okay, Jeremy's going to go on. Like, here's the quantum. Here's the possibility of everything. Here is energy. Here is source. Here is wavelengths and particles, right? Well, that's what creativity is. It's creating the world you want. Understanding that there are so many options out there, infinite options. And you can choose from that pool of infinity in the palm of your hand. And there is infinite possibilities here in the palm of your hand. Everything is yours if you can just find the path, and that path is you. That path is your energy and your light. So today I want to talk a little bit about tension, and I spent a long time talking about identity and how to take steps forward, because who you are is not your identity. Or another way of saying that is, you don't experience your identity. Your identity is who you say you are. You create this definition for yourself, but really you put a label on yourself and you end up holding to that far more than is really good for you. When you give yourself a label, you step into that label pretending to be it on a subconscious level until eventually it becomes what you know. And then when you try to move past that, there's this concept that in order to achieve the next step, to move to the next thing, to move forward, we have to change identities. We have to change who we are. And that's hard. And that's really the particle, the mind, the ego, that side of us, this piece of us, the subconscious, the body, having difficulty with the transition. And transitions are natural in life. But there is a tension that's created between where you are now. How about, it's always weird in the camera here. Where you are now and where you want to go. There's a tension that in between there. And I love people who love to visualize, because they're going, okay, I am really stepping into that future. I can see it. I can create it. And, this is here I am, and there's this space in between. The problem, in a lot of senses, is that definition of the future, stepping into it, creating it, is way too vague. The definitions there are way too vague, way too touchy-feely, way too non-committal, honestly. And that's what I'd like to help you overcome today, if you are willing to work with me a little bit and play with this. Everything I say is play with it, because it's not defined. Your brain has been literally trained a certain way. Your persona, your body, your everything has been trained to behave and react a certain way because of your life. So it's necessary to say, okay, how do I play with that? Which elevates it out of work, which elevates it out of something you have to do. It elevates your life to a point of choice, which is a really powerful thing, because then you're not a victim. You chose something in your life. You are actively taking the steps that you choose. So what do you define that you choose? Well, I want to make life better. What does better mean? I want to make a lot of money. How much money? In what time frame? Right? Getting really specific about what you want to accomplish. I want to move states. That's actually one of my goals. I want to move states from Washington to Southern California. I want to get back around my wife's family, and I have a goal of a year to really get myself into that position, to get myself moving in that way. And that's the thing, is that to actually start making these manifestations happen, the mind doesn't really understand the nebulous nature of feelings, which is crazy, because that's what you live in. That's what you are bathed in because of your body and your reactions. That limbic brain, that the lizard brain, the basic brain, the midbrain, the brainstem, all of these fight or flight reactions that train you. All of this stuff of kind of going through life on automatic. When you get in the car and you drive to work and you don't even realize you drove there. All of these are automatic things, and this is showing you that the lizard brain does a lot more of the driving of your body. The subconscious does a lot more driving of your body than you really intend it to. And what all of that stuff is really, really looking for is guidance. Solid, specific guidance. Your brain is not a computer, okay? It's not... It doesn't process things like 1010110011, whatever that is. It doesn't think in those terms, but it does think in choice, not choice, activated, not activated, things connecting, things not connected. So there is an on and off sort of system in there, and your brain and body do have a sort of base operating system, and this base operating system is what determines how your body reacts to the world, how the body assists you in pursuing your goals, in achieving what you want. It's how it's how you program your reticular activating system, right? That part of your brain that is an active filter for your perception, showing you the things that you believe you want to see, and literally hiding things from your perception that you don't believe in, that you don't want to acknowledge, that you, and that's you being your conscious or subconscious, right? That's why this is tricky. Because 5% of your active experience, what you're seeing, doing, feeling, that's conscious. 95% is unconscious. So how do you get that 95% moving in the right direction? Well, you have to tell it very specifically with highly defined particle, like wave and particle, wave and particle, wave and particle, like yin yang, all of these things, the two sides of things. In order to program the physical body, you need to imagine what you want your future to be and really heavily define it. Really tightly define it. And the funny thing is, and I talked about this yesterday, you don't need to define this in-between space, how you get there. Moving towards it in a systematic way that is unconscious, that is something that becomes a process that happens in you, fantastic. But that's not necessary because it actually eliminates a lot of the wonder, a lot of the play of the universe. And allowing some of that play allows the universe to bring these things to you faster. Now, how can you apply that? Well, if you want to make $1 million, you can hope and pray. Hi, Aurelia. You can hope and pray that you get $1 million, right? But that's not actually moving you forward in a solid sense. You can actually start doing things through your work. You can start offering more sessions if that's what you do. You can coach more people. You can elevate how much you charge, and you can have this very solid path towards $1 million. I love that idea because it at least is moving something forward. It creates a system. It creates a repeatable process, and the body loves repeatable process. And there's this idea that we want these things, and we're too afraid, right? When we're young, if we don't say, no, imagine it's Christmas time and you want a very specific toy. If you say that specific toy, we're sort of trained that maybe Santa will bring it, maybe Santa doesn't. Maybe your parents buy it, maybe your parents don't believe in any of that, and you don't get anything. These change how your brain take one line step at a time. Exactly. That's moving one step at a time is great, but here's the thing that I want to kind of get across. It doesn't matter if you haven't defined really tightly what that end is. If you say, I just want to make life better, I want to feel more comfortable, I want to be healthier, it is far too vague for your subconscious mind to activate in a realistic way, giving your conscious mind options and a path to travel down. And literally the reticular activating system kind of goes, it's a hope, it's a dream, it doesn't matter because there's nothing defined about it. And the trick about this is to create the right kind of friction, the right kind of tension between that future and now, something that creates an easy flow towards it. But we also know that if you're artistically inclined, you kind of get this a little bit more because there's a lot of talk about tension in art, and there's a lot of things become tense when they are too close, when they're too far, when they're too close of color, and it's sort of like, this is my little example of tension. The tension between these two pieces right now is, solid color, is reasonable. You can see my face, it's all fine, but the closer I get, there is an increase, a perception in how you see it, an increase in perceived tension, an increase in the amount of friction, of energy, of idea between these two things. And this is sort of like your life in any sort of sense. The more you move towards something, if you're trying to control it, if you're trying to manage it, it kind of keeps pushing like this. And sometimes the things inside of you, that subconscious that isn't ready for it or finds something too vague. I want to be successful. Okay, so we start out saying I want to be successful, and then we take aligned steps. First of all, we need to figure out for ourselves, what does success mean? How does success look to me? Is it amount of money? Is it amount of security? Is it amount of love? Is it amount of attention? What does that mean? Once we actually define that, then we can look back at where we are now and say, okay, this is the starting point, and I want to go ahead and close that gap. Then you can take aligned steps one at a time. The more pressure you put on yourself to create, control, and manage those aligned steps, the more the universe, in the form of your subconscious mind a lot of times, is going to be like, F you. Right? I mean, say something or respond if you've felt that. Because when we try to control all of the tiny steps of life, that is us imposing our will on the universe, on the world, and it tends to backfire. And that's one of those properties of energy that I said there are three main properties of energy. There is the pendulum, and there is the stagnancy, and there is the progression, the straightforward movement. And it's all based in these frictions, because if it's something that you are trying to manage, control, and you're thinking too much about, then what happens is these two frictions end up bouncing off of one another, and that ends up being the pendulum kind of energy. When you're taking a step that is aligned at a time, and you are allowing, how about we go back to like the Buddhism, just allowing, or the Tao, how about Wu Wei? How about effortless being? If you set up systems in life, and yesterday I talked about the fact that I want a Dodge Challenger. I think those cars are super hot and super cool, and I think my wife would get a kick out of driving one of those things. The aligned steps that move towards that would be like putting money into my bank account on a monthly basis, or bi-monthly basis, which in this case means every other week, not every other month. English. That would be an aligned step, one at a time. However, and I love those sorts of steps because they become part of process, they become part of system. And our body, our mind, our process, our systems, ourselves love that stuff because we ignore it. That is exactly when you get in the car and you drive to work and you haven't even realized you've driven to work. Or when you've driven to work or you meant to drive to work and you end up somewhere else because that was where some point in your mind determined you were going to go. And you just show up and you're like, oh, I didn't mean to get here. Our body loves this sort of system process thing that is one subtle step at a time so that it can forget about it and ignore it. And in that way, you can actually participate in the universe and in play and in fun things going on and in enjoying it. Like if you're doing all those little steps and enjoying whatever comes up and you respond because you are good enough, you are smart enough, you are capable enough. Every single, yes, really, I love it. Every single second, you are enough. And that's a hard thing for a lot of people to accept, but every single second you are enough. You have learned enough, you have progressed to wherever you are in life, you are approaching the things that you do so that whatever comes up, you either have an answer, you know where to go for an answer, or you have some capability in providing an answer or finding an answer to move you forward. These days, a lot of my answers are go to YouTube and just search because it's the second largest search engine in the world, the first being Google. Is it a coincidence those two are tied together? No. There's places we can go to find answers. And this sort of brings up the idea of imposter syndrome. Because a lot of people, I know because of pandemic, a lot of people are transitioning from one position in life to another position in life. And they're doing it in sort of this way where they have an idea. I'd like to provide a service to someone, somewhere. I'm gonna go back to my friction example here. And they aren't super clear about that. Or maybe they're a little bit clear and they're starting to walk that path and they're finding these aligned steps that get them there. But in the process of this, there's a lot of control going on. A lot of that control is based in fear, anxiety, past performance, past things that have gone on in their life, in their training, trying to make their parents happy, trying to rebel, all these different reasons for taking the steps that they do. And so much of it ends up being, I'm not sure because of the circumstances of the world that I can control anything. And that's scary. And so if I can't control my job, my career, my all of that, what happens is in here collapses. And we start to doubt ourselves. And the lack of systems, the lack of the process continuing forward for the subconscious and the other than conscious self starts to collapse in. That's that negative spiral. Maybe you've experienced that. I have, where you feel like everything's going great, and then there's a couple of changes. Your routine changes, your familiarity changes, things shift, and all of a sudden your internal dialogue is like, whoa, I don't even want to say it out loud, right? That's how bad it gets. If you start that cycle, it's really hard to turn off because you have to find your higher self. You have to keep reminding yourself that you are worthwhile, that you are enough. There is nothing wrong with you. You are a whole and wonderful person. You have made it to here in your life. That is successful. You aren't dead. You have a brain in your head. You have capabilities. If you see the future that you want, you can take the steps towards it. That is terrific. But when things change rapidly, as this world is that we're in right now, it's hard. It's real hard. And so what happens is we end up trying to project control. We can't control ourselves, so we project control on the outside world. Don't get in my way, car. Don't take my parking space. Don't get in front of me in line. Don't get in. It ends up being a way of control. But the thing is that it's all internal. It's perception. It's a projection. I knew the word come to me. It's all projection because you don't control out there. The only thing you control is your reaction to out there from in here. And so what happens is this tension ends up sitting here's a graphic design thing, ends up sitting like this. It's not quite touching, it's not quite not touching, and that negative space is just driving you crazy, right? There is a tension, a friction here that begs to be resolved. And the resolution is break it apart, which ends up becoming that pendulum energy, right? How do I move forward if when I am moving and I try to control the outside world and it's too uncomfortable and life is too uncomfortable, so I pull back? Or here's the outside world, I'm trying to control it, I'm trying to control it, I'm trying to control, I need stability, I need my body to feel good, I need my mind to feel good, and so I'm going to go ahead and cross over. Now I'm micromanaging the universe. I'm literally going to tell people around me how they should be acting, how they should be feeling, how they should be reacting to things. And actually, there's a lot of truth in this metaphor in the self-help world, in the coaching world, because we feel like we learn processes for ourselves that are highly functional, highly adaptable, which is fantastic, right? Resilience is the word of the year, right? I am resilient. I have grit. I can keep going. I can change. I can shift. I can adapt. I can be me. I can, whatever that identity is, I can be me and be completely successful on any level that I choose to play at. But this sort of thing ends up feeling like imposter syndrome. It ends up feeling like I'm going to be found out, because that tension is super high. The person, me, you, whoever it is, as we're trying to see that shift and make that shift into that new reality, adapt with it, we don't feel like it's real. We feel like there's something wrong with us, like someone's going to find us out, like someone's going to turn on us, like it's going to be wrong. And again, that's a lot of projection outwards. It's projection of how we feel about ourselves, how we feel in the instance that we're in, how we feel about the world around us. But really, it's a feeling, a fear of being judged, of being excluded from whatever community we are attempting to be part of because of the change. And the subconscious, the unconscious, the body, the mind, all this stuff, it wants the familiar, right? That lizard brain wants to stay alive, wants to reproduce, wants to pass on genes. And we can't deny that. We have to accept that that part of us is there. And it drives us to feel different until that feeling becomes our cycle, becomes our standard, becomes who we are. We embrace it. We embrace that we know enough to be able to teach other people, that we know not who we are, because honestly, do you ever feel like you know who you are? I don't feel like I feel like I'm always discovering who I am. And that's exciting. And I think that's a good perspective to have, because you're always looking to learn more of yourself, from yourself, and as you do that, you're capable of more, because you have compassion for yourself, for who you are and where you are. So this whole idea of imposter syndrome is a lot of friction that is looking for resolution. And the resolution is either acceptance. This is what it is. I am who I am. This is the instance that I am. I am still me in whatever instance of me this looks like. I haven't changed. My identity literally didn't change. I don't have to be someone else to play this new role in the world. It's still me. I'm still alive and doing great. Yeah. Right? Still trying to find you, right? So much of us still trying to find us. And that's why I say you can't see your identity. You don't know what your identity is. So the idea that you're not enough, the idea that you have to become something else, that you're an imposter is a rejection of yourself. And I just, I don't want to get into a discussion of boundaries today, but this is what it ends up coming back of creating a boundary for yourself, to remind yourself not to beat yourself up, that you are worthy. There's nothing broken about you. You are surviving in an incredibly complex world. You are adapting, you are moving, you are shifting, you are changing, and that's good. You are building resilience, you are building grit, you are building an ability to continue to grow regardless of what environment and what source you are given. And that's fantastic. And I know that there are going to be points of imposter syndrome that pop up in your life. they still pop up in my life. And honestly, I feel like they're going to keep popping up until the point that the breath stops coming out of me and I'm sleeping in the ground. And the reason is that anytime something is unfamiliar, anytime that little lizard brain, that fight or flight response is like, it's not right. That's my judgment imposing something. That's anger and fear, recognizing the contrast between what I think should be right in my head, in my interpretation of things, and the world outside me. And here's a little secret. The things you experience, all of this experience, you are living slightly projected for the actual reality. Your brain, your mind, your senses don't happen in your fingers, your tongue, your eyes. They happen in your brain. Which means that a lot of the time your brain is putting stuff into action and the senses haven't even really finished processing. It hasn't finished going to the brain. It hasn't finished doing something, but the brain is literally every single second, multiple times a second, connecting ideas together to predict what will happen. And when the prediction is wrong, we feel uncomfortable, we get tense, we get anxious, we get surprised, we get excited, we learn. If you're living half a second in the future, every single second, you've got a lot to learn because there's a lot of stuff you're not going to get right. And you can't help but live that way because that's how your biology lives. Your biology lives essentially guessing the future every single second. So what happens with imposter syndrome? You're guessing that someone is going to disparage you, not trust you. And the fact is, this is the last little bit for today, I promise. The fact is that all of this tension is good. It helps drive you to either like reassess where you want to go or push you right to your future. And being defined in that really helps you move forward. And everything about you, about your body, is an emotional indicator. It's little bells all over telling you how to feel about certain things, and it's giving signals to your brain and your mind, and they're all of them, just waiting for your mind to give it direct signals back, to upgrade your operating system, to upgrade your vision, to upgrade who you are and how you project yourself, because you don't see yourself, you don't feel yourself, you don't, the finger doesn't touch itself. How's that? I was going to say you can't taste yourself, but that goes on a bad place. The tongue doesn't taste itself. You need something else to bounce off of. And a lot of the time, all of our senses are just trying to predict what it will sense. And it's good that it's wrong. It's good because we don't know everything. We don't control everything. And having compassion with yourself, understanding that you are enough in any given minute, you can react to anything in a chosen way. And when you are really definite about what you want your outcome to be, about how you want to feel at the end, about what you want to build in your life, about just what that is, what that vision is, it's easier for your reticular activating system, your other than conscious mind, your body, and all your reactions to align to that, so that when stuff comes up, you can just be you. Stop trying to be something fake where that tension pushes you right back, where life rips it away from you. Just be you. Be honest that you are making decisions in alignment with that outcome. Because it's going to be different than the decisions you've made in the past. And that is going to make you nervous. That's going to make you anxious. Again, small imposter syndrome. And that's good. Because when you are making decisions that are different from your past, you're going to get results that are different from your past. And really, isn't that the important part? You want to move forward. You don't want to keep living right now for the rest of your life. Grow into something more, because you are capable, you are beautiful, you are wonderful, and you can absolutely do it. So that's all for me for today. Thank you so much for staying and listening. If you're interested in my program, Manifest Design, shoot me a note or check out my website, www.thinktankcreative.net. And I will talk to y'all later. Thank you. Love you guys. Bye.